Most people believe that investing begins if they open their first broker account and invest in their stocks. However, I think it starts long before that. And look, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm currently 17 in my last year of high school, and in about 3 months, I turn 18. And over the past 3 years, I spent a lot of time learning about financial markets, business, economics, and pretty much anything I could get my hands on. And I've even gone as far as to take a summer program at Wharton and even to become the founder, and I'm still currently the president of the finance club at my school. And look, despite all of this experience, I've learned that you can't learn everything through a spreadsheet, which is why I'm going to be taking a different approach. And look, nothing magical happens the day that I turn 18. I'm not going to all of a sudden, become the best investor in the world. But by setting a deadline, the day I become 18, I set the first checkpoint. And the most important one is my last year of high school. Because instead of waiting till college to build the relationships and the skill sets that I want, I'm going to start now. Hello everyone, my name is Jerry, and over the past year and a half, I've started investing in the stock market and even started paper trading some options. And through this process, I've sort of learned, both fundamental and technical analysis. And I've even uploaded content just to sort of, I guess it was a way to help me grasp and memorize these concepts better. However, I realized that I'm nowhere near, close to knowing everything about finance. In fact, the more I learn about finances, the more I understand that I don't know everything. So, despite learning about financial markets, business, economics, and as I said, anything I could grab my hands on, there was still something that I was missing, and that was learning from people with real experience. I simply wanted to know their thought process. How did they account for risks? How do they, generate ideas that might be doubted today but are going to be successful in the future? And that how do they model potential outcomes, for example? And I guess since we're teenagers, we're sort of limited into the real experience that we can get. So I guess the most similar way that we can learn is by applying other people's philosophies, well, people that, already have experience. That way, if we apply it to our personal life and our professional life, we could start sort of like filtering and eliminating certain things that we shouldn't have because maybe some people already committed the mistake. So now that I sort of covered this, I want to explain my project. And look, since it's my last year of high school, I want to achieve exactly what I told y'all, to learn from people. So what I'm going to be doing is reaching out to entrepreneurs, CEOs, portfolio managers, and anyone that's sort of related to this field. The goal is to be able to get a chat with them. And look, I'm going to be honest, most people don't have to respond to me. I understand that I'm a 17-year-old and that this project is barely starting, but what I do realize is that all I need is one person. And from there, we can keep expanding the project. And while we're on this subject, I want to clarify something, and that's that I'm not going to be asking generic questions such as what made you successful, but rather I want to ask analytical questions that sort of analyze the person's thought process. For example, something that I've been curious about is how do you step down from a project that's halfway done, despite resources that have been spent on this, and how do you sort of present this? And there's various questions. Another one that I've always been curious about, especially for successful people, is what decisions did you do in basically that looked wrong in the time and were successful, and how do you sort of suggest that we sort of have a similar approach to? And these are like two out of many questions that I want to ask. My final goal is to be able to share these interviews with y'all on the channel. That way I can sort of transmit all of this knowledge onto y'all, because I feel like if we as teenagers have access to these resources, it would have a very big impact in our lives and sort of and also in our professional lives. And I guess it's going to be interesting to see how our strategies, or at least for all of the teenagers that are going to be watching these interviews, evolve, because we're going to be implementing something that we really haven't done, because maybe we've learned theory, but there's real experience. And of course, it's not going to be the same as if you actually go and do the work. But I feel like due to the limitations of us being teenagers, that we can't work in the fields that we want, this is the most similar approach viable for us. And yeah, the best part is I'm going to be documenting how my approaches have evolved for all of my projects. On top of that, the best part of all the stuff that's going to be documented, all of the interviews with the professionals are going to be uploaded onto this channel, so all of us can learn how to implement these again, lessons and philosophies into our own projects and our lives. So again, just to repeat, this is my last year in high school, and the first checkpoint is turning 18. But the biggest one of all is my graduation. So if you're a CEO, founder, entrepreneur, portfolio manager, investor, professor, anything related to these fields, please, I hope you're interested, because I feel like the value that we can provide for the younger generations is immense. And yes, if you are interested, my contact information is in the description down below, so you can reach out to me there. And thank you. And if you are a teenager, I hope you do stick around, because I'm going to try and provide an immense amount of value in this project. I promise y'all that I'm going to try and make the highest quality content possible with, the best people. And I want to leave y'all with, I guess, a story of mine. I personally have a mentor named Mike, and I'm very grateful for him. He's helping me out with a passion that I have. And the thing that I want to say is that there's no price tag to learning from someone else's experiences and their mistakes. Because at the end of the day, he's taught me a lot of stuff, and it all comes from that. And by no means am I implying that you should go get a mentor right now. In fact, these interviews are going to be posted onto YouTube for free. But what I want to sort of imply is that I want this project to provide that same amount of value to y'all. So yes, I hope you do stick around for this project. And if you do, please make sure to like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.